What is the nature of the relationship between a lonely janitor and an amphibious creature at a top-secret research facility in the 1960s? Welcome back to Movie Recap World. Today we will take a look at the movie The Shape of Water, released in 2017. If you're ready, let's begin. The movie begins with a glimpse inside a submerged house. We hear Giles, a man, narrating the tale of a princess, her beloved, and the monstrous threat that loomed over them. Eliza Esposito, a mute woman, resides alone but frequently visits Giles, her middle-aged unmarried neighbor, in the apartment above a local movie theater. Eliza works as a janitor at the Ocam Aerospace Research Center alongside her friend Zelda Fuller. One night during their shift, the facility receives a vessel carrying a valuable entity. Eliza approaches the vessel, and there's a sudden impact from within. After work the next morning, Giles takes Eliza to his preferred bakery where he indulges in key lime pie while Eliza remains unenthusiastic. Giles also shares friendly conversations with the bakery's proprietor, whom he secretly admires as a closeted gay man. Meanwhile, Giles works on an advertising design for a Jell-O product, attempting to redeem himself after being suspended from his previous job due to alcohol-related issues. At their workplace, Eliza and Zelda are responsible for cleaning a restroom. Colonel Richard Strickland enters and carelessly splashes water after washing his hands before proceeding to use the urinal. Sometime later, the women hear a scream emanating from another room. Strickland emerges, now missing 2 fingers from his left hand. Eliza and Zelda are tasked with cleaning the blood-stained room, which serves as the containment area for a mysterious asset. Eliza accidentally splashes water on the floor, causing Strickland's severed fingers to roll out from beneath a shelf. She promptly collects them in a bag to send along with him to the hospital. Eliza soon discovers that the asset is a humanoid creature with fish-like features. Intrigued, she develops a deep fascination and begins secretly visiting its enclosure to spend time with it. Over the following days, Eliza bonds with the creature by feeding it hard-boiled eggs, teaching it sign language, and playing music on vinyl records. Whenever someone enters the area, Eliza hides to avoid being discovered. On one occasion, Strickland enters the enclosure with the intent to torment the creature by using a cattle prod fueled by his vengeful resentment over his lost fingers. As the story progresses, glimpses into Strickland's personal life reveal that he is married and has 2 young children with whom he displays a lack of attention. When his wife initiates a sexual encounter while their children are at school, Strickland engages in rough intercourse without regard for her discomfort or boundaries. A newly arrived physician at the facility, Dr. Robert Hofstetler, is secretly a Soviet spy named Dmitri. He meets with his superiors, who take him to a restaurant with a Russian theme to discuss the asset. Hofstetler informs them of his belief that the creature possesses intelligence and the ability to communicate. Later, his bosses provide him with a poison to eliminate the creature and thwart American advancements in scientific research. Meanwhile, Colonel Strickland's superior, General Hoyt, displays his own arrogance and desires to exploit the asset's body for space travel technology. Eliza grows increasingly concerned for the creature's well-being and confides in Giles about her desire to help it. Despite Giles' reservations, Eliza sees herself as an akin to the creature since they are both individuals who differ from the norm. She worries that without intervention, the creature will meet its demise. Giles pays another visit to the pie shop, engaging in a friendly conversation with the owner, Pie Guy. However, the situation takes a turn for the worse when Giles attempts to touch Pie Guy's hand, provoking an angry response. Matters escalate further when an African-American couple enters the shop and Pie Guy, displaying racism and homophobia, denies them a seat at the counter. Giles is also asked to leave and not return. Meanwhile, Eliza becomes the target of unwanted attention from Strickland. He deliberately spills a glass of water in his office, forcing Eliza to clean up the mess. He then physically mistreats her, expressing arousal over her muteness and suggesting that spending more time with him can make her squawk. Disturbed by his behavior, Eliza promptly leaves the room. Fueled by pain and frustration from living a rejected life in a homophobic society, Giles decides to join forces with Eliza in liberating the asset. Utilizing his skills, he decorates a van and creates a counterfeit ID for himself. Eliza initiates their plan by diverting the cameras away from the creature's enclosure. She ingeniously conceals the asset in a laundry hamper while Giles drives the van into the facility. As Zelda is leaving work, she becomes aware of Eliza's intentions. Simultaneously, Hofstetler too prepares to take action, seemingly in line with his orders. However, upon discovering Eliza's plan, he chooses to aid her cause. Using a bomb device, he disrupts the power supply and subdues a guard with a syringe. Strickland, realizing the situation too late, rushes towards the exit. With the assistance of Zelda and Hofstetler, Eliza successfully transports the creature into the van, causing Strickland's newly acquired car to be destroyed in the process. Eliza brings the asset to her apartment and provides it with a bathtub filled with the necessary chemicals and salt as per Hofstetler's instructions to maintain its well-being. When Eliza goes to work the following night, Strickland interrogates her and Zelda, doubting their involvement in the incident. As Eliza leaves, she signs "F you" to Strickland, which Zelda translates as "thank you." During this time, Giles, while attending to the asset, falls asleep. The creature escapes from the bathtub and encounters one of Giles' cats. The cat hisses at the creature, provoking a growl in response, ultimately leading to a brutal demise for the feline. Witnessing the gruesome act, Giles startles the creature, causing it to flee and scratch his arm. Upon Eliza's return, Giles recounts what transpired. Distressed, Eliza rushes out in search of the asset and discovers it is in the movie theater beneath their apartments. She safely brings it back upstairs and tends to its needs. As the asset touches Giles' head and arm, a radiant blue glow begins to emanate from its touch. In the morning, Giles discovers new hair on his head where there was once none, and his arm wound has miraculously healed. Eliza and the asset develop a deeper bond, but their connection does not involve any explicit content. They share intimate moments of understanding and trust. Eliza, expressing her affection, creates a playful scene by flooding the bathroom, intending to swim together. However, this causes a leak into the theater, and Giles is compelled by the theater owner to open the door and drain the water. Eliza gradually formulates a plan to release the asset into a canal flooded with rainwater. Her attachment to the creature intensifies, and she even envisions a musical-like sequence where she sings about her love for it in a whimsical, old-fashioned style. Meanwhile, General Hoyt pays a visit to the facility and reprimands Strickland for losing the asset, granting him a limited 36-hour time frame to retrieve it. Hofstetler's superiors become aware that he did not carry out the orders to eliminate the asset. However, they decide to spare him temporarily, informing him that he will be extracted back to Russia in 2 days' time. On the day Eliza plans to set the asset free, Zelda visits and notices that its scales are peeling off, and they have run out of the necessary chemicals from the facility. They make arrangements to transport the asset that night. Strickland tails Hofstetler to his rendezvous point, where he typically meets his superiors. Hofstetler is ambushed and shot multiple times, but before his assailant can deliver the final blow, Strickland intervenes, eliminating them first. Strickland, driven by his obsession, interrogates the dying Hofstetler, believing that he is concealing the asset for other Soviet spies. However, in his final moments, Hofstetler laughs at Strickland and cryptically reveals, "No names, no rankings, they just clean." Strickland proceeds to Zelda's residence, where he interrogates both her and her husband, Brewster. Growing increasingly unstable and detached from reality, he violently tears off the fingers that had not fully healed after being reattached. While Zelda remains silent, Brewster reveals that Eliza has the asset. After Strickland departs, Zelda reprimands Brewster for his disclosure and urgently contacts Eliza to warn her. Eliza and Giles swiftly relocate the asset before Strickland arrives. Strickland forcefully breaks into Eliza's apartment and discovers a note on her calendar indicating her intention to transport the asset to the canal. Eliza and Giles bring the creature to the canal, bidding their farewells. However, the asset communicates to Eliza through sign language, expressing a desire for them to remain together forever. Eliza responds, insisting that the creature must depart without her. In a fit of rage, Strickland appears and strikes Giles, followed by shooting both the asset and Eliza. Convinced of his victory, Strickland turns to leave, but is suddenly attacked by Giles, striking him in the face. Miraculously, the asset regenerates and heals its own bullet wound. Strickland, awestruck, refers to the creature as a god before meeting his demise when its claws slash his throat. Just as the police arrive at the scene, the asset takes Eliza into the water while Giles and Zelda, who have just arrived, watch. Underwater, the asset shares a kiss with Eliza, utilizing its healing abilities to revive her and grant her gills in place of the scars on her neck. Embracing one another, the film concludes with Giles' voice affirming that the two can now be united. And the movie ends here. If you enjoyed, please consider like and subscribing. See you in the next one.